All right, today's question is, what happens when God's people start playing with sin instead of killing it? The answer, God don't play games. Sin brings death, but zeal for God brings life. So let's go. We're in Numbers chapter 25, and this is a gut punch. After all those blessings, all the victories, all the prophecy about Israel's future glory, they trip up and fall flat on their faces, and it ain't from war or starvation, it's lust and idolatry. Same as today. But one man stands up and God takes notice. Verses 1 through 3, we see Israel falling into sin. So Israel is right on the edge of the promised land. They're almost there. But verse 1 says, while the Israelites were camped at Acacia Grove, some of the men defiled themselves by having sexual relations with these Moabite women. Now, this ain't about adultery. It's about spiritual betrayal. These women invite them to attend some sacrifices to their gods. And the men went, they ate, they bowed down, they worshiped Baal of Peor. He's a local fertility god. They're full on idolatry. God ain't having it. The Lord's anger blazed against his people. Let that sink in. After all God did, splitting the seas, sending manna, protecting them from curses, they run off and they bow to a dead statue because it came with a woman and a party. In verses 4 and 5, we see God's judgment beginning. So God tells Moses, seize all the ringleaders, execute them in broad daylight, so my fierce anger will turn away from my people. And Moses obeys. He tells the judges, each of you put these men to death under your authority who joined in worshiping Baal. This ain't gentle. This is holy wrath because sin has consequences. Verses 6 through 9, we see Phinehas standing up. And right here, boom, camera zooms in on this one bold moment while the people are weeping at the tabernacle. A man brings this Midianite woman into his tent in plain sight. He ain't just sinning, he's showboating his sin. But one man ain't going to watch it happen. While Phinehas saw this, he jumped up, took a spear, went to the man's tent, thrust it through both the man and the woman. And just like that, the plague stopped. Before Phinehas acted, 24,000 people already died. But God sees what Phinehas did, and he calls it zeal. Verses 10 through 13, we see God's reward for zeal. So God says, Phinehas has turned my anger away from the Israelites by being as zealous among them as I am. So I'm not going to destroy them in my jealousy. Then he makes a covenant with Phinehas. He says he and his descendants will have a permanent priesthood because he was zealous for his God and made atonement for the Israelites. Now let's be clear. Phinehas wasn't acting out of rage or hate. He was acting out of a holy jealousy for God's name. It wasn't about emotion. It was about worship. And God honored it. Verses 14 through 18, we see the root and the future war. So this chapter ends by naming the guilty man and woman. The man was Zimri, a Semonite leader. The woman was Cosby, Bill Cosby. No, just Cosby. She's the daughter of a Midianite chief. This wasn't a random hookup. This was a political and spiritual alliance with idol worship tied into it. And God says, treat these Midianites as enemies and destroy them because they assaulted you with deceit. So what's Numbers chapter 25 teaching us? First, blessings don't cancel obedience. Second, God's people fall when they flirt with the world. Third, sin is deadly. Idolatry brings God's wrath. Fourth, but zeal for God's glory still matters. And fifth, sometimes the one who stands up and speaks out saves others from judgment. Phinehas didn't do what was popular. He did what was holy. And we need more people like that today. People who love the Lord more than they fear the crowd. So don't play with sin. Put it to death. And keep reading your Bible. And don't be dumb.